Hey everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, coming at you to talk about September 2022. And as always, really want to say thank you to the guys at Know Thyself podcast for promoting me and just being generally awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. This is going to be, there's three main themes, I guess. But the first one, Mercury retrograde, of course, don't worry. Mercury is going to go retrograde on September 9, and it will go backwards, and it will go direct October 2nd. It's going to start at 8 degrees of Libra, for those of you that know those kind of things, and go back to 24 degrees of Virgo. And now, so in Mercury is always about communication, ideas, your beliefs, but it definitely can be about relationships because of that Libra stuff. And then the going back into Virgo is about being specific and being clear. And so there's definitely a theme of being clear about what you want in partnerships, and and not thinking you're picky for wanting to have healthier partnerships or more clarity. And that balance between picking on yourself with that Virgo part to say, because some points, of course, we all need to improve ourselves, but Libra, so going from Libra to Virgo is like that balance of, when is it me and when is it them? When is it just the two of us being a weird combination? And what, boundaries do you need to draw, or what actions can you take within yourself to be the better partner? How can you bring things to someone else's attention and work out compromises, or really see there's a standoff of issues, but really making sure you're not beating yourself up, because sometimes when Mercury retrogrades in Libra, people can feel, relationships are too much trouble or something, and it's like, well, it's up for review about the quality of things. So it's, again, the balance of not being too harsh on how you're viewing it, and also not being too blame oriented, I guess would be the opposite part of that. Like, I have nothing to do with this and it's all you, or something. So striking that balance, for those of you who, sorry, I got a piece of hair that is dangling in front of my eyes. For those of you that go, oh God, it already feels like Mercury retrograde, there's always this a window of time we go into before the retrograde. So we go, okay, so if you're going to go direct at 24 Virgo Mercury, where are you 24 Virgo before you do that? And that was August 21st. So sometimes people think, it already feels like it's retrograde. So sometimes the worst of it is before. The most confusion or the depth kind of stuff we have to do can be beforehand. And, and interestingly, that pre-retrograde can say, all right, here's a theme of what's going on, and sort of, making a list of what needs to be gone over within yourself. And then during the actual retrograde can be, okay, let's get to work and realign this, correct it, meditate on it, and then come forward with solutions. So it can feel like, oh God, everything's going wrong. But it's like, all right, this is going to be the theme, and again, not beating yourself up too much about it all, because Virgo, got to watch the downside of each sign that the Mercury retrogrades in, Okay, I was going to talk about Mars retrograde, but wait a minute. So let's also talk about, with the Sun being in Virgo, and also Venus will be in Virgo, not just this Mercury retrograde, but as the Sun is in Virgo, it's going to trine, which is an easy flow of energy. Virgo's an earth sign, and Uranus is in Taurus, which is an earth sign, and also Pluto is in Capricorn, which is an earth sign. So the Sun is going to trine both of those planets, and so will Venus. And that whole sweep of time, I'm giving it kind of a wide kind of reference, but I'd say between like the Sun and Uranus, and I'll explain what these mean, between September 4 and September 15, and then when we get into a little overlap, then the Sun with Pluto is like September 13 to the 22nd in there. And then the Venus with both Uranus and Pluto is like the 15th to the 28th. So it's really most of the month we're getting these trines. And that really can help that Mercury retrograde be less picky, or less digging at yourself or someone else for that matter, because of these Virgo trine things to the outer planets. And this can also be really great for financial situations, because Virgo can be great at sorting things out, and Pluto especially can be about financial investments, emotional investments, health, your health resilience, mental health or physical health. Uranus is really breakthrough ideas around all of these sorts of things. So it can be the breakthrough idea, and then the Pluto helps you to carry through on those plans and to give you kind of a long-term capacity to keep like stepping forward on those plans. Now, so that's really, I really was excited to see those, the way those planets are working all together. And so any plans you want to make regarding, again, physical health, nutrition, which is very Virgo-y, any sort of self-improvement, even if it's like a meditation plan or a yoga plan, and making it a gentle plan and something you can, keep working with over time instead of something extreme like I'm going to go to a yoga class every day for 6 hours or yoga retreats every weekend or something. It's like, well, can I commit to 5 minutes every day and then have a win like that and then build from there if you want to, So kind of knowing your limits and being kind to yourself around your schedule so that you're able to really incorporate your plans. So the Mars retrograde that's coming up, Mars and Pluto are really connected in an interesting way. Before we discovered Pluto in the 1930s, Mars ruled both, it's stuck in my mind here. Mars ruled both Aries and Scorpio. And so when we discovered Pluto, we say, okay, Scorpio is with Pluto. It's like the higher octave of Mars, we'd say. And so when we have a Mars transit, which is a temporary energy from Mars in the sky, Mars moves really fast. So it would be like, maybe 4 or 5 days, right? It's kind of stretching it a little bit, but it's just sort of like, oh, I can kind of grab this energy and then it's sort of gone. Pluto transits, as I mentioned, last like 3 years. You have a lot of time to grab onto that and sink your teeth into it. So, but when Mars moves retrograde, it gives a period of time. So it's almost like having Mars for a longer time. And so Mars has just moved into Gemini as of, I can write that down. Mars went into Gemini on the 20th of August, and normally Mars will go through a sign in 6 or 8 weeks. But because of the retrograde it's going to do basically at Halloween, it'll be in Gemini until March 25th. So that's like 7 months. And so as Mars does the retrograde pattern, which we've just gone into the pre-Mars retrograde, which, let's see, I'm going to glass on for those dates. So we entered this Mars retrograde, pre-window time, let's say the 4th of September, the day I'm doing this, and it won't go fully retrograde till the 29th of October, right before Halloween. It will go direct on January 12th. And so let's just keep that in our mind now, because I can go for the post-retrograde later, another month. But this idea that whatever goes on, basically September and October, that could be Mars-related kind of things, what irritates you, especially Mars in Gemini. Gemini, of course, is communication, right? So what kind of mean language do you use toward yourself? Do you have self-attack language? Are you irritated with certain people? People irritated with you? You need to put boundaries up around. Do you want to have focus on, because Mars is goals and Gemini could be going to school. Like if you're going back to school right now, or you want to go back to school, what kind of plans for staying in a good track for studying, and it could be friendships, COVID seems to be receding, I suppose. And so making new friends, stepping out, trying new things, interacting with the community, finding new activities that people that are kindred spirits. All this could be, Mars, you want to go out and do it. And the Gemini is that socializing, So there's good things and then challenges about Mars being in Gemini for so long. And of course, a good astrologer can show you how the Mars retrograde could be impacting your own chart. Some people it's like really working easy, some people it's more challenging, some people it's both, So there could be a specific theme for you, but I'm trying to kind of do this for everybody, right? To be able to tap into it. So you could kind of notice your strengths and weaknesses about following through with plans, about being maybe socially awkward or anxious, about being overly strong about your ideas, about not being strong enough. And again, the self-talk is a real big theme with this Mars retrograding in Gemini. And seeing how you could have kinder self-talk and don't think you have to be mean to motivate yourself. There could be like encouraging words. It could be positive Mars in Gemini, okay? So again, nothing to worry about with these retrogrades. It's definitely, all the planets go retrograde except the sun and the moon. Mercury goes retrograde the most often, and ironically, Mars the least often, where it's retrograde. Oh, some statistics about it. So we can use these to our advantage and deepen our relationship with those planets when they do their retrograde patterns, So let's see here. I talked 11 minutes, okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, the new moon. So the new moon is the 10th of September. And, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, it's the full moon. Is it the full moon? The full moon. Oh, or down wrong. So the full moon, we're going to have, of course, the sun in Virgo, the moon in Pisces. And because the planet Neptune is in Pisces right now for 14 years, so when Neptune is the planet connected to Pisces, which can be lack of clarity, and a full moon can be, again, jumping to conclusions, feeling really emotional. Just sort of watch out for, drawing weird conclusions because of that Pisces strangeness and Neptune strangeness that's accentuated by the full moon. It can be great for dreams and visions and things like that, but you want to wait to act on these things, because again, with that Mars retrograde, the Mercury retrograde, what is really worth your time pursuing, and if something seems weird, it's probably kind of weird. So sort of taking things with a grain of salt that feel like, this is the answer, this is it, you bounce it off people you really trust and wait it out, for things. But other people, who aren't aware of astrology, they just maybe know it's a full moon or something, but again, if people are acting strange, put up boundaries and give it a pass for a little bit or have a discussion a little later about it. But sometimes people say, oh, that was so weird. I don't know why I said that or what that was all about. It's an extra strange full moon, extra surreal, I guess. And again, whatever could come up with somebody could be part of your sort of your little, I'm thinking of, a little list that the Mercury's going retrograde, the Mars is going retrograde. That's interesting. What's that about? And you'll have time to kind of have investigation into that and figure it out, So just kind of being aware of what's happening with who and what are the triggers with people and stuff, So, but really, I think this idea of the sun with Venus working with the Uranus and Pluto is so great. It's like this is all positive, constructive information and keeping it really gentle and saying this is like some really great clues to wonderful spiritual growth. Okay, so all right, so I will always available for sessions, of course. My email is aluna3366@gmail, or through my website aluna@alunamichaels.com, and my website is alunamichaels.com. And you can also text me at 248-583-1663. All that information is below here on the YouTube. And I also have my little book on Amazon, The Spiritual Gifts of the 12 Astrological Signs, if you want to check that out. And has little spiritual steps to take for each sign. And if you do get the book, do your sun, your moon, and your rising sign when you read it. That's always helpful, just in any astrology book, to get a whole picture of yourself. And so hope you're doing great. And I'll see you next month. Bye-bye for now.